Of course, you want a 3,000-word speech about the Harley-Davidson Model 5D, 1909, written in paragraphs, no intro, no outro, and no conclusion. I'll jump right into the content directly. The Harley-Davidson Model 5D, released in 1909, stands as a significant milestone not only in the history of Harley-Davidson itself but also in the broader narrative of American motorcycling. Designed during a period when motorcycles were still very much an experimental form of transportation, the Model 5D showcased innovation, daring, and an ambition that would characterize the Harley-Davidson brand for decades to come. It was the company's first attempt at producing a motorcycle with a V-twin engine configuration, an engine style that would eventually become synonymous with the Harley-Davidson name. The introduction of this engine was a bold move, as most motorcycles of the time were powered by single-cylinder engines that were simpler and easier to manufacture. The 5D's V-twin engine was a marvel of early 20th century engineering, boasting a 49.5 cubic inch, about 810 cc, displacement. The engine was capable of producing around 7 horsepower, a significant improvement over the single-cylinder models that preceded it. This boost in power allowed riders to reach higher speeds and tackle steeper inclines with greater ease, fundamentally changing the way motorcycles could be used. Although primitive by today's standards, the performance enhancements made possible by the V-twin were revolutionary at the time. It allowed Harley-Davidson to market the Model 5D as a more powerful, robust alternative to the lightweight bicycles with engines that had dominated the landscape thus far. The construction of the Model 5D reflected Harley-Davidson's commitment to durability and reliability. The frame was made from tubular steel, providing a rigid structure that could handle the increased stresses of the more powerful engine. This heavier, sturdier frame also helped improve handling stability, which was crucial given the relatively rough road conditions of the time. Spoked wheels, a standard feature, were fitted with pneumatic tires, offering better shock absorption compared to the solid rubber tires used on earlier motorcycles and bicycles. This improved rider comfort and reduced mechanical wear and tear, helping establish Harley-Davidson's reputation for producing tough, long-lasting machines. The transmission system of the Model 5D was relatively simple but effective. It featured a belt drive system, common among early motorcycles, which transferred power from the engine to the rear wheel. While belt drives would eventually be replaced by chain drives for better durability and efficiency, the belt drive on the 5D was reliable enough for the relatively modest power output and speed expectations of the time. Riders had to manually adjust belt tension using a lever, a somewhat crude method compared to modern automatic tensioners, but one that offered decent functionality given the era's technological limitations. Stylistically, the Model 5D carried over much of the bicycle aesthetic that had influenced early motorcycle design. The fuel tank was mounted on the top bar of the frame, similar to where a water bottle might sit on a modern bicycle. However, the tank's distinctive teardrop shape hinted at the more specialized, motorcycle-specific designs that would emerge in later years. The handlebars were wide and curved, offering good leverage and control, especially important given the uneven surfaces most riders would encounter. The seating position was upright, placing the rider high and central over the frame, a design choice that improved balance and visibility but would have been fatiguing over long distances without the benefit of modern suspension systems. Despite its many advancements, the Model 5D was not without its flaws. The initial V-twin design faced several mechanical challenges, including issues with lubrication and overheating. Oil delivery systems were still in their infancy, and many early V-twins, including the 5D, relied on primitive total loss lubrication systems. These systems would deposit oil directly onto moving parts, with the excess simply dripping off onto the ground. While this provided basic lubrication, it was inefficient and messy, requiring constant monitoring and refilling by the rider. Engine cooling was also a concern, as the larger engine produced more heat than the earlier single-cylinder models. In hot weather or during long climbs, the 5D could easily overheat, leading to performance issues and mechanical failures. Despite these early teething problems, The Model 5D's impact on Harley-Davidson's future trajectory cannot be overstated. It laid the groundwork for the company's V-twin legacy, which would become its defining feature. The distinct sound and feel of a V-twin engine, first glimpsed in the 5D, became part of Harley-Davidson's brand identity, cultivating a unique emotional connection with riders that persists to this day. Even the problems faced by the 5D offered valuable lessons for Harley's engineers, spurring innovations in cooling, lubrication, and materials that would benefit future models. The Harley-Davidson Model 5D also played a critical role in legitimizing motorcycles as practical forms of transportation rather than just novelties or rich man's toys. With its increased power and rugged design, the 5D made motorcycles a more viable option for everyday travel, commuting, and even professional use by police departments and postal services. This broader acceptance helped expand the motorcycle market in the United States, creating opportunities for Harley-Davidson and its competitors to grow and innovate. Production numbers for the Model 5D were modest. Only a limited batch was manufactured, largely because of the technical challenges and high costs associated with producing the V-twin engine at that time. However, its influence far outstripped its production volume. The lessons learned from the 5D directly informed the development of the 1911 Model 7D, a far more successful and refined V-twin motorcycle that would truly cement Harley-Davidson's place in the motorcycle industry. The Model 7D addressed many of the shortcomings of the 5D, particularly in terms of lubrication and engine cooling, demonstrating Harley's ability to adapt and improve quickly. Examining a surviving Harley-Davidson Model 5D today offers a fascinating glimpse into the roots of motorcycle engineering. The simplicity of its mechanical systems, the straightforwardness of its design, and ruggedness of its construction all speak to a time when ingenuity and trial and error were critical to progress. Every visible weld, every bolt, every turn of the belt drive system tells a story of an era when transportation technology was evolving at a breathtaking pace. Restoration experts and vintage motorcycle collectors hold the 5D in high regard, not just for its rarity, but for its historical importance and the role it played in shaping the future of motorcycling. The 5D's visual presence is understated but charming. The dark, utilitarian paint schemes, often black or deep green, were practical choices that masked dirt and grime, but they also contributed to a distinctive Harley-Davidson aesthetic that remains iconic. Pinstriping and simple decals provided the only adornment, emphasizing the bike's function over form philosophy. In an age before flashy chrome and custom paint jobs became synonymous with motorcycle culture, the 5D's honest, workmanlike appearance symbolized a pure focus on performance and reliability. Riding a Harley-Davidson Model 5D today would be a wholly different experience compared to modern motorcycles. Starting the engine alone would involve a series of manual operations, adjusting the carburetor settings, setting the spark advance, and then pedaling or kicking the engine to life. Once underway, the rider would have to constantly manage the throttle, spark advance, and belt tension to maintain smooth operation. There were no electronic aids, no sophisticated suspension systems, no hydraulic brake assist, only the rider's skill and intuition to keep the machine running and navigate the primitive roadways of the early 20th century. The Model 5D's importance extends beyond its technical specifications or historical significance. It symbolizes a spirit of ambition, innovation, and resilience that characterized early 20th century America. The very act of designing and building a V-twin motorcycle at a time when internal combustion technology was still relatively new required a tremendous leap of faith. It required visionaries who believed in a future where personal motorized transportation could empower individuals, connect distant communities, and open up new opportunities for adventure and exploration. Looking back, it's clear that the Model 5D was not an immediate commercial success, but it planted the seeds for future greatness. Harley-Davidson's persistence in refining and developing the V-twin concept, despite the early challenges, ultimately paid off handsomely. Today, nearly every Harley-Davidson motorcycle owes its lineage to the Model 5D, a testament to the lasting impact of that early experiment in engine design. In many ways, The 5D was a prototype as much as it was a production model. It represented a snapshot of a company in the process of discovering its identity and its place within a rapidly changing technological landscape. It embodied a blend of boldness and pragmatism. Boldness in its pursuit of a new engine configuration, pragmatism in its sturdy, no-nonsense construction and design. It's this balance that helped Harley-Davidson survive the tumultuous early years of the motorcycle industry and grow into the global powerhouse it is today. Examining original advertisements and brochures for the Model 5D reveals a marketing strategy focused on reliability, strength, and American craftsmanship. Even in 1909, Harley-Davidson understood that selling motorcycles was about more than just selling a machine. It was about selling a lifestyle, an aspiration, a sense of rugged individualism and freedom. The Model 5D, despite its limited production run, was one of the first steps toward building the Harley-Davidson mythos that would capture the imagination of riders for generations. Mechanically, the 5D's engine was an F-head design, meaning that the intake valve was located in the cylinder head while the exhaust valve remained in the engine block. This hybrid approach offered certain performance advantages, including better airflow and more efficient combustion, but it also added complexity. F-head engines required more maintenance and precise tuning to achieve optimal performance. These challenges, though daunting at the time, helped Harley-Davidson's engineers develop a deeper understanding of engine dynamics, knowledge that would prove invaluable in future designs. Despite its shortcomings, owners of the Model 5D often praised its smooth power delivery and superior climbing ability compared to single-cylinder motorcycles. In an era when even modest hills could pose significant challenges to underpowered machines, the extra torque provided by the V-twin engine made a real difference. This made the 5D especially popular among rural riders, who needed a reliable machine capable of handling rugged terrain and long distances without frequent mechanical failure. One cannot discuss the Model 5D without mentioning the broader historical context in which it was developed. The early 1900s were a time of rapid technological advancement and societal change. Automobiles were beginning to become more common, but they were still prohibitively expensive for most Americans. Motorcycles offered a more affordable and practical alternative, and companies like Harley-Davidson were perfectly positioned to capitalize on this demand. The 5D's introduction was a direct response to this evolving market landscape, showcasing Harley's foresight and adaptability. Today, surviving examples of the Model 5D are incredibly rare and highly prized among collectors. Restoring a 5D requires extensive knowledge of early motorcycle technology and a deep appreciation for historical accuracy. Original parts are almost impossible to find, and many restorers must fabricate components by hand to match the original specifications. These restoration projects are labors of love, undertaken not just to preserve a piece of mechanical history but to honor the pioneering spirit that the Model 5D represents. Beyond the mechanical and historical aspects, the Model 5D holds a special place in the hearts of motorcycle enthusiasts because of what it symbolizes. It represents the beginning of a journey that would see Harley-Davidson grow from a small workshop in Milwaukee to one of the most iconic brands in the world. Every modern Harley can trace its DNA back to the 5D, a machine that dared to be different, dared to push the boundaries of what was possible, and dared to dream of a world where motorcycles could be more than just curiosities. The Harley-Davidson Model 5D, 1909, may have been a commercial experiment with limited immediate success, but its true legacy is far greater than its production numbers suggest. It paved the way for innovation, established the V-twin as a cornerstone of Harley's identity, and demonstrated the power of perseverance in the face of early technological setbacks. It remains a powerful symbol of the early days of motorcycling, a time when the open road was a new frontier waiting to be conquered by machines like the Model 5D and the daring individuals who rode them. Would you also like a second version that's a little more energetic or storytelling like depending on the style of your YouTube channel? I can also provide chapter markers if you want to add them to your video.